Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am really excited to have this wonderful woman who you will not believe all she's done, but it's Jennie Milton. And let me talk to you a little bit about Jen's background. Jennie, as she's likely called, AdrenaJen Milton, is an Australian kite surfing and snow kiting champion. A big mountain skier, captivates the audience worldwide with her dynamic storytelling and profound insights. Spending 3 months each year in Alaska, she passionately promotes extreme sports, coaching others to excel and embrace the thrill of adventure. Jennie's stories are heart-stopping tales of invaluable lessons in resilience and dealing with fear. Her experiences range from a thrilling escape from a polar bear to her remarkable return to competitive kite surfing at age of 48 after major spinal surgery. Her stories not only thrill, but inspire, embodying strength, determination, and ageless attitude. Jennie is a sought-after speaker for companies aiming to motivate and impact their teams profoundly, leaving them with a surge of motivation and renewed zest for challenges. So we're going to talk about beyond survival, thriving and inspiring others after brain surgery. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Jennie Milton. Jennie, so excited for you to share your stories, which are so compelling and and sometimes unbelievable to me. No,
Hi,
you're not.
Vicki.
You're not going to get me in Alaska. I'm so sorry. No, I
Thank you
do.
so much for having me today, Vicki. It's wonderful to be on your podcast and get the chance to speak to some of your listeners and hopefully some
Absolutely.
entertaining and educational stories that I've got to share.
Absolutely. So we always start out with a couple easy questions. And the first is just to tell everybody, where do you live now? Where do you call home?
Well, good day, mate. You can probably tell by my accent that I'm originally from Australia. I grew up in Canberra, which is the capital city, and I'm so lucky and grateful to have had two parents that were very sporty, and in fact, they owned a sports store from when I was born. So I had this very sporty upbringing. I would ski in the wintertime, and then we would sail in the summertime. And that dream of being an Australian skier and loving to ski took me overseas to the big mountains, and it was always my dream to go and ski those big mountains in Alaska that you would see in all those exciting movies that were coming out.
Yes, again, you would not see me there. I don't like the cold weather, but I did ski. I skied in Pittsburgh, Seven Springs, and in Pittsburgh, the winters were not terribly cold, but colder than you would in Utah or somewhere like that. And every time I would ski after work, the wind chill would be like -15, -20. And my snowsuit would like slide on the ice as I got off of the snow. So yeah, it was sometimes humorous.
I
But
hear that I hear that a lot, Vicky. Not everybody is a lover of the cold weather and the wind like I am. But I mentioned my parents having that sports store, and I learned at a very early age that it's all about what we wear. And spending that a little bit extra money on those technical fabrics actually keep us warm. I grew up in Australia. I didn't grow up in this cold weather environment, but I knew what to wear to keep me nice and warm.
yeah, yeah. My husband, he skied with jeans, and I thought, no way. My suit keeps me dry, keeps me warm. I'm good. Don't make fun of me. All
Most
right.
a lot of ladies my age are all about, trying not to look puffy, yet I spend my whole winters in puffy jackets, puffy pants. The
Yes,
puffier, the better.
that's exactly right. Important. So, uh, talk about your journey to becoming where you are today. To be really, you could have just been a normal kid who likes sports and decided, oh, I like to snow ski or snow kiting. I mean, really, that's a newer sport as well. So I think you sort of tied your love for sailing and skiing into one sport. But really, what made you inspired to say, I need to share my story with others, and I need to be able to use this to build resilience in people that are in team leaders and leaders in general?
You may not believe me, but I started out as an absolute scaredy cat. When people hear an introduction like you just gave me, people think, oh my goodness, this girl's nothing like me. I don't do these extreme sports. I don't do these scary things. And that wasn't me in the beginning either. I was definitely a scaredy cat when I was a little girl. I always wanted to wear a skirt, and I was always that kid that at school, when we would have to climb up and dive off the diving board, I would be the one in tears climbing back down because I didn't have the confidence or the courage to overcome that fear at a young age. So it's something that didn't come naturally to me. It's something that I've learned along the way, how to build that confidence and courage, how to overcome those fears. And I did it step by step. And that's why I think I love sharing those lessons with people, is because it's really empowered me over the years to improve my confidence and, really build up that courage muscle. And I love teaching other people to do that too, because it's so empowering once we can overcome something that's super scary.
Yeah. And I think it's really important what you just said is you build your confidence. I was that scaredy cat too for heights. And I remember going on a field trip to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and they have this in the middle of a battlefield. They have this huge water tower, and you climb up it, and then you can see the whole landscape 360 of the battlefield and get a different impression. So everybody is climbing up, and I know I'm afraid of heights, but I thought I'm not going to be that person. So I climbed up and I got almost to the top, and I was like you. I started to cry. I was like, I must have looked down or something and just cried the whole way down, making all those other people below me have to, get off. And I thought, I don't ever want that. And so I just did little things over time that got me to the point where, okay, I'm okay. Like I can go up to a window and look out from the 55th floor and not be shaking. But you have to just do the little things. And that's true in everything that we do in life.
It really is experience and practice, and overcoming that first fear is always the hardest. But the great thing about doing that is I got this incredible feeling of being so proud of myself when I overcame that fear, that feeling of excitement and being proud of myself outweighed the fear feeling. And so
Yeah.
I started craving and really enjoying that feeling of overcoming the fear. And after I did that, multiple times, especially as a skier. When I first went up to Alaska, I wanted to go heli skiing. So the helicopter drops you off at the top.
Yeah.
And I remembered the helicopter took off. So there was no climbing back down that ladder. There was no way getting off that mountain. I had no choice but to drop in. And of course, the emotions were so strong. I was terrified and excited at the same time. But once I dropped into that run and did a couple of turns and ended up at the bottom, just cheering for myself, I was like, okay, let's do it again. And the helicopter took me up for another run, and I was scared all over again. But doing that multiple times, all of a sudden, I started building up that confidence to do it. And I got that same feeling when I discovered the sport of snow kiting. That was an incredible feeling when I was able to combine my two favorite sports of skiing in the winter and sailing in the summer, and putting them both together. I was like, wow, this is definitely a sport for me. But it came with a whole new bag of fears that came with dealing with cold weather. And as you already mentioned, Vicki, when it's windy outside, we get that wind chill, so it's even colder again. And then the wind can blow at different speeds.
I was just going to say, you can't control the wind.
You can't control the wind, but you can control what size kite you put up. And you can control the knowledge that you've learned in order to make the right decision of, is today a suitable day to fly a kite, or maybe it's too windy for me today because I'm just learning. So safety is absolute key when it comes to skiing big mountains and to kite surfing and snow kiting. And so the more you can actually learn and build up those skills of safety, the more confidence you get in yourself of making the right decision.
Yeah. And I think to stay safe, you always do have an underlying fear of what ifs. But I think, again, that just keeps you safe. That if you were cocky about it and think, I did this 100 times, and you don't do those precautions that you would, that's whenever trouble can happen.
So true, Vicki. When we do our avalanche training classes, there's a whole section called the human factor, and it looks at the mental side of making decisions. You can imagine if you'd been planning to hike this big mountain on a certain weekend, and you'd organize to have the time off work, you'd organize the airfares to get there. You've got a lot of excitement about having this dream and achieving this goal come true, and you get there, and all of a sudden, you might see a red flag of the weather's not quite right, or there might be a red flag of an avalanche on an opposing mountain in the same area. And you might, oh, it doesn't matter about that. Let's go for it. Let's do it, because you've got so much excitement. So the human factor of making smart decisions when it comes to safety is so important. You know, they've been calling me AdrenaJen since my early 20s. And at first it was Adrenaline Jen. She just does all this crazy extreme sports stuff. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that adrenaline is our body's response to actually keeping us safe. It's keeping us on edge. It's keeping us alert so that we're very observant and that we can make smart decisions. And that adrenaline is going to make us make the right decision to keep us safe in those situations.
Perfect. So you have had a few challenges. So let's just talk about this, the brain surgery, and how do you stay motivated and keep charging and setting new goals after such a very stressful thing to happen?
Vicki, it's hard to still even hear when I think, oh my goodness, I have had multiple brain surgeries. I have multiple brain aneurysms in my brain. And when I was first told of that diagnosis after 5 months of headaches, I was devastated. I was scared like I'd never been scared before. I was more scared than when I was chased by a polar bear or caught in an avalanche. This was the biggest fear of my life. And I think that the thing that was the hardest was actually grieving. grieving my dreams, grieving my goals. I have lots of things that I'm planning for my future, lots of things I still want to do. And I felt like maybe those things wouldn't happen. And I really was grieving. And there was a time of extreme emotion. And then I realized that I had the tools to overcome the fears, as we've just talked about. And this was just a new challenge and a new fear that I had to figure out how I was going to find the courage to go through this. I'm very lucky that I'd done a lot of work on my mindset over the years to stay positive in life. And all of a sudden, those tools that I'd learned, I needed to pull out of my backpack and start using them for real. I remember the biggest thing for me when I was lying on that operating table about to go into the first brain surgery. I was so scared, and I just kept chanting over, I'd be brave, I'd be strong, I'd be lucky, I'd be loved, and I'd be so grateful. And I'm so grateful for this experience of having brain aneurysms and going through brain surgery. How can I even say that I'm so grateful for this traumatic and scary situation that could reduce the length of my life? But I'm so grateful because it's taught me so much already. It's taught me lessons that I wouldn't have learned anywhere else about life is short. And I've learned a lot of things over the years, and it's now so important for me to talk about this and to share those lessons with others, because at that point of extreme fear and grieving my dreams, I just started Googling who else has had brain aneurysms and gotten back to skiing. I was searching for a story of hope, that after I get through all of this, I would be able to get back to my skiing and get back to my sports that I'm so passionate about. And it was really, really difficult to find a story of hope. There were lots of stories that just made me even more scared and more depressed. But I wanted to make sure that I could start telling some stories myself of hope that would inspire other people to fight for their lives and to stay positive and to live every day like it's their last, whether they have an illness, an injury, or maybe they're aging, getting to that point in our age where we can't continue on with our passions.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, because of COVID, started to understand that, we're not guaranteed tomorrow, and that, you want to live the life that you want now, and really live in the present, not worrying about the future, and there's nothing you can do about the past, right? So live your best life now. And, I think that helps you in some ways get through these terrible challenges that are sometimes put up against us. So why do you really like to be in that outside extreme cold weather? Does it reinvigorate you? What does a girl from Australia see that's so great about the cold?
Vicki, being out in the cold weather is at first putting you outside of your comfort zone. And we hear a lot of that in a lot of our mindset trainings, business trainings, getting outside of your comfort zone. And so if we look at temperature, our comfort zone of temperature, in our modern world, if we get cold, we can just turn on a heater. If we get hot, we can turn on an air conditioner, and we tend to keep ourselves in this really narrow temperature bracket, and that is our comfort zone. But it's not actually that healthy to stay in that narrow comfort zone in temperature. If we can expand that range, it's actually great for our immune system. It's great for our bodies, and it's great for our minds to know that we can be comfortable at both ends of the scale. So as an Aussie, I get a lot of chances to be in the hot weather, and can I be okay out in the hot weather? and not just sit inside in the air conditioning all day, but go outside and maybe sit in the shade under a tree, or find somewhere where there's some wind to cool me down. And I think kite flying has definitely helped me with that side of things.
Yeah.
But then the cold side is also very uncomfortable when we start going outside that comfort zone. And I see it as a challenge. And I love a challenge. And whether it's the challenge of overcoming my brain aneurysms and the challenge of going in for surgeries, or the challenge of doing my sport, overcoming that challenge builds confidence and courage. And the weather is no different. And if I wanted to do my sport of snow kiting and go out there, not only when there's snow on the ground and it's freezing cold, but then have that strong wind chill, I was starting to get exposed to very cold temperatures. In fact, down to -40 Fahrenheit, which is nearly the same -40 Celsius as well. And so wearing the right clothes was definitely key. And having the right attitude. If I was going to go out there and say, oh my God, I'm going to freeze today, it's going to be so cold, I'm going to be so uncomfortable. Yes, I would be uncomfortable. But if I could put on all my groovy, puffy jackets and be so excited about doing my sport, and I get so much pleasure and enjoyment out of flying my kite with my skis on and cruising around, it gives me so much joy. I have so much freedom out there in the backcountry.
Yeah.
That feeling overpowers the feeling of being uncomfortable. And
I think you would get that awe of being inspired by everything you're seeing in this, as you're just really having that view that a lot of people don't get to appreciate and see. And that would take your mind off, I would think, somewhat of the freezing cold weather that you're in.
It does. And to go and spend time around glaciers, just like the one in my background here. I love going and exploring the glacial ice caves. Now, if you choose to not go in a cold environment, you're going to miss out on some of these incredible views and experiences, which may not be around in the future. So I spend as much time as I can in those glacial caves as possible. And being out there in the snow with the wind blowing, I see the snow blowing around like sparkles. It's just so beautiful. And I see the wind blowing the snow into different shapes and textures on the snow. My good friend, the wind, is an incredible artist. I feel like he's just doing incredible snow sculptures out there on the mountain. So it's really looking at things with different eyes and a different mindset that makes the difference.
So what has been that scariest experience that you've ever had to overcome your fear? I think I know what it is. I know how I would feel, but go ahead. Share that with us.
Vicki, until a couple of months ago, I would have said being charged by a polar bear was one of the scariest experiences of my life. But I'm so grateful for that experience, because I really got to see one of the most incredible wild animals up close, and probably a little too close.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a scary experience. But to be honest with you, dealing with my brain aneurysms and dealing with brain surgery has really taken that fear up a level to where I've never been this scared in my life.
Yeah, definitely. It's the whole thing, as we were talking about resilience in the beginning, it's really not letting yourself go into the deep depression over what ifs. But as we mentioned, finding ways to just find joy in every day that you are here, and being positive about what the outcome's going to be.
That's so true. And I had this conversation yesterday. I've already mentioned that I want to make sure I'm living every day to the fullest and living every day like it was my last. And if this was my last day on earth, I wouldn't want to be sitting around in tears in my bedroom depressed. I would want to be out there with my husband flying my kite and finding joy and really appreciating this incredible world that we live in. No matter what season it is, no matter what temperature it is outside, there's always something beautiful to look at. And I have spent many years of my life in some extreme depression. And so I know what that feels like. And that's not a place I really want to go right now. I'm really finding this new positive mindset of being so grateful for life, grateful for all the experiences I've had, and grateful that I've still got the chance to share my stories with people and share these lessons that I've learned. And that's what I'm spending a lot of my days doing right now, is sharing those lessons with not just skiers and snowboarders and kite surfers like I have over the years, but I've really been enjoying sharing these lessons with kids and going to elementary schools and teaching them about wind and teaching them how to make a kite so that they too can find some joy outside in the weather.
So what is, you talked about, all the things you've done, but what has been for you the biggest inspiration that you've had?
Inspiration is something I think we all need. We need somebody to look up to. And during my younger years as an athlete, I was always looking up to the person, the top female in my sports, those Olympic athletes, those Red Bull athletes that are just so inspiring that I wanted to be like. But as I'm aging, I'm finding that I'm more inspired by those men and women in their 70s and 80s that still have a huge smile on their face. They're still going out and doing their sports, even if it's at a different level. They're still getting out there every day and really enjoying life. That's so inspiring to me. But the biggest inspiration, I think, over my whole life, no matter what age I was, is my brother. My brother got cancer at the age of 9 and unfortunately had to have his leg amputated. So I was 11, he was 9. And at the time, that was just devastating to our whole family. In fact, his chances of survival were so slim. His chances of survival were a lot lower than what mine are right now with my brain surgeries. And to watch my brother's strength and resilience and watch him over the years, and he's now in his 50s, so he's survived through this, and watch him adapt equipment in order to do sports has just been incredible. I remember when we were younger, he learned to ski on one ski. His stump, when he had his leg amputated, is very small. He was only 9, and back then their technology, they just wanted to take out as much of the bone as possible. So he really didn't have a strong enough stump for working an artificial leg. So everything he's done in life, he's done on one leg. And we would go skiing together, and I would take off one of my skis, and we would both ski down the hill on one leg together. and then when I got into rollerblading, I remember us rollerblading together on one leg, and he'd be using his crutches, and then he wanted to play rollerblade hockey, and he put a hockey stick on the end of his crutches, and he would balance up on them and use his other foot to kick the hockey stick blade in order to do his slap shot into the goals. And so it's been so inspiring watching my brother over all the years go through something that's so devastating that changes your life forever, and then still going out there and having the strength, the resilience, and keeping that positive attitude to become a world-class athlete. He has multiple Guinness World Book of Records. He's the most awarded skier in Australia in the Paralympics. He has multiple gold medals. He's in the Australian Institute of Sport Hall of Fame. And so my brother's been that incredible athlete that I've always been inspired by, as a sister, as an athlete, and just as a person, because he's really inspired so many people.
Fantastic. And I'm sure that he's your biggest cheerleader too.
Sometimes cheerleader, but we're also very competitive, and I think that's what's both pushed us to be better over the years. So competitive.
If she can do it, I can do it. I can
If
do
he
that.
can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, there you
Exactly.
go.
Mhm.
Well, if you all have been so inspired by this and want to be able to connect with Jennie, I'm going to share my screen that has the contact information. Jen's information will be there for you to check out our websites and social media. As always, if you're just listening, you can get this information on YouTube, my Vicki Noethling channel. So please subscribe to that, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com. The website is HTTPS and then AdrenaJen. So that's AdrenaJen. So AdrenaJen, AdrenaJen.com. For Facebook, it's Jennie.Milton. That's JENNIE.Milton. And then AdrenaJen is for Instagram. I'm going to turn it over to Jennie to talk to you about what you'll find at AdrenaJen.com, as well as her social media. It's all yours, Jen.
Thanks so much, Vicki. If you've enjoyed my stories or you'd like to reach out to me, I would love to hear from you. So please jump on any of my social media channels and send me a message. Let's talk about kiting. Let's fly a kite. Tell me your story. I would love to hear it. If you'd like me to come and speak at an event or on a stage, I would love to do that too. But one of the most exciting things that I would love to tell you about is a brand new children's book that I've written called Gail and the Red Kite of Courage. And you'll be able to find that on the website that's on your screen right now. And that is actually a story about when I was a little girl, when my brother lost his leg, and my brother gave me a kite for my first birthday. It was actually my 11th birthday, the first birthday after he lost his leg. And that kite really showed me how to find courage. It took me out of my depression and outside to find joy. And I would love to share that story with you and your children. So as a result of reading the book, Gail and the Red Kite of Courage, kids will find joy, become excited to explore outdoors, and discover the courage to overcome their fears. So if you're a parent or a teacher and you're eager to share a powerful and empowering story with children who are sad or struggling with tough times in life, I'd love to share that book with you. So please reach out, say hi, and I hope you've enjoyed some of the stories and lessons that I've shared with you today.
Fantastic. Well, Jen, I knew it would be fantastic chatting with you. I'm so happy that you were able to join us today to share your stories and your adventures and, the inspiration of all that you do and how it's tied to really anyone who's looking to find their courage and their confidence. And you do have to work through your fears. There will always be something when you get outside of that comfort zone that she talked about that's going to scare you or intimidate you. But it's when you get outside that you grow and that you find wonderful things. So, Jen, thank you so much for being a great guest.
Thank you so much for having me, Vicki. You're doing such a great job helping people find their leadership confidence. And I'm so grateful that you gave me the chance to share some stories with your audience today. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. And as always, I remind everyone that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.